This did not need to exist. This film is frustrating for me. It's confusing and frustrating from the very beginning of this film for me because they framed this scene at the beginning that I was confused because I thought that one character was a different character. Because it's lit so weirdly. Apparently, I'm the only one who. Maybe it's just my perception, or I was expecting it to be Jake Busey, so that's what I saw. But this movie is. Look, if you're a straight up big fan of the first one, and you like what they did with the first one, don't watch this. Not only does it shit on that movie, you take the great main character Jim Halsey from the first one, you bring him back for this, you kill him part way through, and then you focus on his girlfriend that we never met, have no investment in, and have to follow for the rest of the film. Despite the fact she's played by a great actress, it just doesn't work. Had this been Nash from the first one, and she survived that, and they say they were had in a relationship for the past 15 years, which is another confusing aspect, we'll get to it, it might have worked. But it's not. She died in that one. This is a different character. And to me, you just don't have any investment. Also, the title of this film makes no sense. The Hitcher 2, I've Been Waiting. I've been waiting. Who? And this guy the guy, Jack, that they pick up, first of all, he says his name is also Jim, which is wrong. And he's like, I've been waiting for you. And I'm like, is that what we're supposed to get from the timeline, from the tagline? And then at the end, when Maggie says, who are you? He goes, oh, that'll spoil all the fun. Or something. It's like, okay, but who are you? Is this a reincarnation of John Ryder, or is this some new character? And unfortunately, it's just some new character. They try to frame it, maybe it could be, they have Jim thinking it's him. I don't know how, but it's him. It's not. It's some other guy unrelated to the first one. If it was the guy's son or something, it would make more sense, but it's not. There's no connection. And the fact that they kill off Jim Halsey halfway through means that there's no, if they were trying to establish that kind of connection, there can't be, because Maggie, there is no character. There is no connection with her. She's a new character we've never met before this movie. Yeah. And like I said, I was confused right away because at the beginning of this, you see this older man and a boy drive up in the car. They see this plane has landed, and they're trying to help this guy. I thought it was Jake Busey doing this, and then they flip it, and it's actually the old man who has what is that? It's a piece of fuzz. The old man has kidnapped this kid, and then the guy who we thought was the Hitcher says, I'm a cop. You know, he kills this guy, and you think, oh no. Then he reveals that this kid has been captured. He tells the kid, it's okay, I'm a cop. And I'm like, wait, Jake is a cop? And then, the next scene, you see Thomas Howell go to talk to Maggie, and he's like, she's talking to him about, oh, I heard you had a big arrest last night, or killed the guy, whatever. I'm like, wait, him? It was Jake Busey. What? So I had to rewind it. It is lit so bad with the rain, storm, and stuff. I couldn't tell it was him. I literally thought it was Jake Busey. The problem is, it's supposed to trick you into thinking that C. Thomas Howell has become the Hitcher, even though you know from the cover that it's Jake Busey. But that's supposed to mess with you, thinking the events of the first film had turned him. But yeah, I didn't get that because I thought it was Jake Busey, because I was expecting it to be Jake Busey, and it was lit so poorly I couldn't tell until they mentioned it in the next scene. Apart from that, I do like what they did with the PTSD thing. Setting up very well. He got PTSD. He doesn't trust anybody or anything. You know, they could have almost, I don't know how much I would have liked it, but they could almost frame this as he is seeing someone killing these people, but it's his PTSD, and he's really the one killing these people, and he actually is at fault this time because of his PTSD. And while that would be kind of a cop-out to do a sequel and try to, I also don't like the fact that they show flashbacks to the first one, but because they can't show Rutger Hauer, you just get quick cuts. And you see like shot here, shot from a distance where you can't see his face, that sort of thing. So yeah, the whole plot of this is that Jim Halsey's a cop now, but he is in trouble for using excessive force. So he and his girlfriend Maggie decide to take a trip to get their mind off things and go see the captain from the first film, who's also played by a different actor and is barely in this film. Because like they call him, you kind of see him, he's kind of dimly lit, so you can't tell it's a different person. And then the next time by the time they get to their place, they're dead. The only problem is, like, okay, so if you thought it was very convenient in the first one, you ain't seen nothing with this. Because it's so fucking convenient. How it's like, how everything just seems to fall in line with this guy. So first of all, they pick up this guy, Jack, which they find out his name is Jack later, or at least she does. And he, Jim is freaking out. And so he kicks him out. And then next you see this cop stops them for some reason. I don't know why. And then you see that truck that they left him by come up, and it's Jack in the truck. He kills the cop. And they go forward to Captain Estridge's house. And then Jack gets on the horn, calls the cops, and says that something's going down at the Estridge farm. Only problem is, he shouldn't know about Captain Estridge because they never fucking said anything about it. But somehow he knows where they're going. And if they were playing into the fact this is a reincarnated John Ryder, it would have worked. But they never. They tried to keep the mystery like the first one, and it just, unlike the first one, it doesn't work because they don't tell you enough for you to try to put it together in your head. Where the mystery worked in the last one, they're just throwing stuff out there that doesn't connect in any way whatsoever. This thing where he just knows that they're going to Captain Estridge's house, maybe it could be John Ryder, and then later at the end, that would spoil all the fun, spoil the surprise or whatever. And it wouldn't matter because she doesn't know, she has no connection to the first one. So, and yet, this is where they kill off Jim Halsey. And I guess he goes out in a blaze of glory, saving Maggie from getting shot by him, but yeah, they get to the farm, they see the Estridges are dead, and then the cops show up because the cops are very convenient in showing up at the exact moment that they need to be caught. But yeah, Halsey gets killed, and then Maggie's able to eventually escape. And every time a cop shows up, or every time she seems to try to get ahead, somehow he's ahead of her. Like, she gets to this truck stop, and she calls the cops, and she tries to tell them what's going on. They get another call, and then it reveals that the Hitcher, Jack, reveals that he's there, and that he's called the cops and reported her going nuts, even going so far as to cut his own finger off to frame her for it. And he told them his name was also Jim, so that when she says his name is Jim, they think she's nuts. No, your boyfriend's name is Jim. He's dead. And it's like, he said his name was Jim. It's like, okay, he could foresee that. I don't know. If he thought he was going to kill them right away, I don't know. And the circumstances of this too is he's riding a motorcycle in a sandstorm. We see that there's this camper that's been knocked over and there's blood dripping down. And there was a motorcycle on the back of it, and obviously he took that motorcycle and was driving it, but I don't know. He saw them driving and decided, I'm going to try to go after them next. Sure. And yes, there could be another killer out there, and it's been 15 years. The fact that there's 15 years kind of adds to this. It's kind of a positive because, okay, it's been 15 years, it's not the next year, so he's not finding one every year, but still. And so we follow Kari Burr for the rest of the film. And like I said, you're not invested because you don't know this character. You just met her. And she calls her sister or her brother, and the little girl answers, and it doesn't go anywhere, and you're like, okay, when did she establish she had a brother? What? I don't know. Like I said, it's very convenient with the cops. Every time she tries to do something, the cops show up. Like, at the end, they look like they're gonna reenact the splitting him in half scene, right? But just as she's put the sandbag on, she cuts it open and it starts to pull away. The cops show up and stop it, because of course. But this leads to the end where like they release Jack and Jack kills them, and then she fires her rifle at the truck and blows it up, and he dies, and then the movie just ends. Then I guess they were trying to copy the end of the last one, where they kind of just end with Jim on the highway smoking a cigarette. But it ends and she's just standing there watching it burn, and it's like, okay, I get what you're trying to do, but it just doesn't work in this case. It just ends. It just ends. It's just no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. This movie's entirely too long. I can't wait. It's only like an hour and a half, I think. An hour and 33 minutes. But it feels longer because you're just waiting for it. And it gets so repetitive. She goes one place, tries to get someone to help. Guy shows up, kills people. She has to run again. And then he's framing her for the cops. Like Ryder in the first one, but it's more blatant here. Where, they did that in the first one, so we have to do it here. I don't know. It just doesn't work. Oh, and another thing that's confusing is that they say that if you're watching this movie, you know it came out in 2003, all right? They say it's been 15 years. Anything in 15, that means that the first film took place in 1988? No. The first film took place in 1986. This film takes place in 2001. Do you know why? Because this film was supposed to come out in 2001, but it was halted because, or at least this was supposed to take place in 2001, come out 2002-ish. I'm guessing. Because they were filming when 9/11 happened, and they halted their filming and didn't get back to filming till later, and this came out in 2003 as a result of that. I'm guessing it's supposed to come out in early to mid 2002 originally to fit with the 2001 setting, but if you're watching this and you know it came out in 2003 and they're saying it's been 15 years, that would set this in 2001, and there's like a 2-year gap from when it was released. But if this came out in 2002, you're like, okay, so this came out in 2002, but it takes place in 2001. A lot of movies do that. They'll come out in 1 year, but because it was shot at a certain point, it takes place a year earlier. They've done that. But it's very confusing because they kept saying it's 15 years. I'm like, 15? This came out in 2003. That's 17 years. Huh? Just gotta, because I looked it up. I'm like, wait, how is this? I looked it up on IMDb. They gave some trivia and stuff. Yeah, and because of the reshoots, Mackenzie Gray's character is like completely taken out at the last part of the film. He was he was sort of an antagonist, and then he's like yelling at the police chief or whatever, and he disappears from the film because he couldn't come back for filming after the 9/11 stuff. So yeah, he's just gone from the film. So I guess, and he played Houston Gray in Grave Encounters, which I'll be talking about in my found footage ranking later this month. But yeah, this was it's not worth your time. Honestly, it's not worth your time. It's not even in the middle of the road. I thought it was the middle of the road. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your time. Watch the first one. I can't say anything about the remake yet, but watch the first one. It's a great film. This one, no, not worth your time. It's just no. Nah. You take a great character like Jim Halsey, you kill him off partway through, you focus on a character we don't know and have no investment in, and you try to build this mystery around this new character, but all that's taken away when you killed the character from the last one, which could have a connection to this character if it is somehow connected. Even if this was the son of John Ryder, once he's killed Jim Halsey, there's really no connection anymore. But he's still chasing down Maggie, most likely because she's a witness, but still. No, it's not worth your time. I don't know why I keep saying it, but. So, what are your thoughts on The Hitcher 2? I've been waiting. Leave no comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.